Video game addiction is a relatively new concept, so seeking professional help can be tricky. In this episode, Dr. Joseph explains how to identify when it's time to seek that professional and how to prepare your child for that initial visit. So Dr. Joseph, what are the signs that what the parents are doing at home are not working and they need to go see somebody who's a professional?
So the parents have had this very open, non-judgmental conversation with their child, and they've come up with certain limits, right? Time limits on whether or not you should be on video games more than an hour, more than 2 hours a day, whatever you set. And the child is still going behind your back, lying about things, maybe going to a friend's house and playing the games, maybe using a different device that you weren't aware of. If that's happening, that's a sign that you should go and seek professional help. Also, a lot of these video games now have a built-in feature where parents can access security settings and physically limit the amount of time that anyone in the home can have access to a game. If the child has figured out a way around that, that's a sign that there's possibly an addiction. If you've replaced gaming with another activity, maybe a family activity where you've made this rule in the home that no one uses online time, everyone's offline at the same time. We're doing this activity together, or we're having this time together where we are just completely offline. You may not even be engaging in activities together. Everyone just agrees this is offline time, and that child is finding a way to get around that. That's a sign that there's an addiction. Some of these more modern programs have inpatient gaming disorder units.
Wow.
Where they actually replace gaming with an outdoor activity like hiking, sports, volunteering. So if you've implemented this at home, and the child is not sticking to this program that you've implemented, that's a sign that there's probably an addiction. So all of these methods they can be difficult, but they're not impossible. If you've tried all of these methods and they've failed, you've worked with the school and the school has offered some supports. So you're pretty much out of your resources and you don't have other options, that's when you should really start to think about seeing a professional.
And how does the parent prepare, and how does the parent prepare their child for this professional meeting?
That's a great question. I think that people don't respond well when they identify themselves as a problem or you identify them as a problem. So when you're having this open, non-judgmental discussion with your child, try to frame things as, how do we achieve your goals? And lay out all of the tools, all of those methods that you've already tried as a family and failed, right? Rather than the person being the failure. Well, we've tried something together and it's not working. We have to get help.
And so you say that, and then the kid goes, "Mom, I'm not gonna go get help. You think this is a big deal. It's not. I'm just playing Fortnite."
And you know what? This is the truth. This is the actual reality. Addiction is addiction, no matter if it's substance, if it's gaming, if it's another behavioral addiction. It's tough. And usually the person who's in it doesn't see it as a problem.
Right.
So when you're at that point, you have to get help. It's not an option.
So luckily, a parent can just make their kid go.
Correct.
I mean, I'm assuming the kid's not gonna overpower you physically, but you are the adult. You can you control their life, so you can make them go. But what if they have a 19-year-old who says, "I'm an adult, I'm not going"?
If that person is not getting up, they're not going to work, they're not taking care of themselves. I've seen severe cases where someone's not even eating, or they're wearing diapers because they don't want to run to the bathroom.
No. They're wearing diapers
because
they don't
want to
leave
game
the computer?
through. Yes. That's severe. That's a lack of functioning. That's actually dangerous for your health. You gotta
Now,
call 911.
I really want parents to just sit on that for a little bit, because here's why. Because if your 12-year-old is gaming a lot, you might go, "Yeah, but it's not that bad." And I'm not trying to make it seem like every kid who plays a video game has an addiction. Obviously, we know it's 1 to 3%. But we want to work in prevention as much as possible, not reaction. And we don't want our kids to grow up to be the 19, 20-year-old who doesn't work, doesn't leave the house, and wears diapers so that he or she can play the video game longer. This is why taking action now is so critical.
Correct.
That's shocking to me that that's happened. Okay, so how do you get that 19-year-old in diapers to go to the doctor?
You've got to call 911. There's no other way. It's just like with other addictions. If someone is in their college dorm room and they're drinking and they're not leaving, you have to call
And will
911.
911 take that seriously?
If someone is doing something that's putting their life in jeopardy, that's putting their health in jeopardy, yes.
So you call, the parent calls 911 and said, my kid's in college, he hasn't left his dorm for 4 days, he's not eating, and they say, why? And he goes, well, because he's playing video games, I need you to come get him and take him to the hospital. They're gonna come and do that.
Probably not if you say that.
Okay.
You probably have to say they're not eating, they're not leaving their room, they're wasting away basically, they're not taking care of their health, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Right. I mentioned that case at the beginning of the series where someone was admitted to an inpatient unit because they were exhibiting some of those symptoms. And we didn't know that it was gaming disorder when we first saw that person. That's what got that person into the inpatient unit. The lack of functioning to the point where they weren't leaving their room, they weren't going to school, they were barely eating, they were barely sleeping. There was just this huge plummet in their functioning.
Got it.
And it was unsafe for them.
So that's really good for parents to know. They don't have to give the diagnosis, nor should they, to the police.
Correct.
They can just list the symptoms that we know are true.
Because of the functional impairment.
Yeah, the functional impairment. Got it. All right. How else does a parent need to prepare their child for this next step?
So again, you don't want to have that child feeling like they're the problem. There is something in your life that's preventing you from achieving goals that you used to achieve or that you want to achieve. We have to do this together.
Yes.
This is a family issue.
Okay, got it. Well, in our next episode, we will talk about the diagnostic screening process, what actually happens when that child does meet a professional, and what you can expect.